So this is the Ugreen NAS DH2300, and it might just be the solution to all of your expensive Apple storage problems. Let's ramble.
Hold up, things go wild when I pull up. They all on me like it wants.
Hey guys, what's up? So we all know that Apple storage is crazy expensive. I mean, their tiered storage plans feel like an absolute robbery. The base model machines start at a really low internal storage these days, and if you want to upgrade that storage, which a lot of us do, you're looking at a very different price tag. For that reason, I've always been advocating buying the internal storage you absolutely need and then using external storage to supplement. I've done several SSD comparison videos on the channel, mainly as a cost-effective alternative to the expensive internal Apple storage. I did make one exception though, and that is my M3 Max MacBook Pro, which I did max out completely. It's my main workhorse and my video editing computer. Editing does require fast SSDs, and the internal SSDs on those MacBooks are crazy blazing fast. And it's a real treat to edit my videos off of. But this was the very first time I've maxed out a machine like that, and only because I was finally able to set aside some budget to do so. And believe me, it did cost me an arm and a leg. I really don't want or need that for all of my devices. So yeah, SSDs have been my go-to option. But SSDs can get lost, the storage capacity is always limited as well, increasing the storage capacity can get quite expensive, and if you don't have it with you, well, it's obviously useless because you won't have access to it. And that is where this guy comes in. This is the Ugreen NAS DH2300, and it is one of the latest in Ugreen's NAS product lineup. Now, if you've been around the channel for a bit, you've heard me talk about Ugreen more than once. They're a channel partner, and when they do create new products, they often share them with me for review. They've been putting out really solid products, and last year, Ugreen entered the NAS space, and they kind of hit the ground running. And they proved a lot of skeptics wrong. I reviewed the DXP 4800 Plus at the time, and it's been in my office ever since, where it serves as my personal data hub. Now, the DXP 4800 Plus is definitely one of the beefier, higher end options, if you will, and I'm really happy to see Ugreen building on that and putting out even more accessible variants like this DH2300. So let's have a quick look at this thing. I'll show you some of the stuff it can do and how this thing can actually save you a lot of time, money, and headaches. So just very quickly, in case you're entirely new to NAS systems, NAS stands for Network Attached Storage, and it's exactly what it says on the tin. It's a bunch of storage connected to your network and the internet, of course, which means you can store all of your files and data in one place, access it anytime and from anywhere without having to put anything in the cloud. You're basically creating your own little private cloud of which you have full control. Now, I'm no IT specialist, I'm an end user just like you guys, and so that's also how I choose to approach these reviews. NAS systems can seem a little bit intimidating at first because they can do quite a lot, but trust me, it's a lot easier than it looks. I'm not going to go into complicated protocols, I won't be modding anything, I just want to know if it works, what it can do, and how I can use it in my personal workflow. And hopefully by the end of the video, you'll know if something like this could also work for you. The first thing I noticed when I took this out of the box is the build quality. Just like the previous one I reviewed, this thing is built like a tank, and the hardware couldn't be simpler. You're basically looking at a miniature PC, a server if you will, with 2 slots for hard drives. Installing the hard drives is super easy. You just slot them into the trays, secure them with the included screws, slide them back into the NAS, and boom, you're done. I like that you can simply remove the top, slot everything in there, and then just close it back up like this, no tools required. Now, I'm using some pretty modest storage here, but you can push your total storage all the way up to 60 terabytes, which is way more than most people will need. The cool thing about NAS systems though is that you can always upgrade or expand as you need. You could, for example, upgrade to this DH4300 Plus, I had to read it here really quick, which is basically its bigger brother, with a few extra tricks up its sleeve. But we'll get back to this one a little bit later on in the video. So next up, you just plug it in and set it up. Now, the setup is usually what puts a lot of people off from using a NAS, but Ugreen made it really simple. You just hold your phone up to the NAS, and using NFC, it will guide you to the Ugreen NAS app download. And once you've installed the app, it will take you through the setup step by step in a really clear and simple way. Once you've got everything up and running, you can start setting it up as you want. You can schedule backups for your iPhone album, for instance, so your photos get automatically uploaded to your NAS, but you can also back up files on your iPad or your Mac. You can either send individual files to your NAS, or you can schedule your backups. You can even do continuous backup using Apple's Time Machine. I really like Ugreen's phone app because the interface makes everything very intuitive, kind of in line with Apple's own design language. But you can manage your NAS from your iPad too. You can download the app to your Mac and handle it from there. There's even a web browser version if you don't want to install the app at all. What's cool is that you can also use one of these as a hub for your entire family. You control the access permissions, who can access what, and you can even set up different user accounts for your family members. That way, everybody can back up their files and their photos and other stuff and share whatever they want as they wish. Now, for me personally, the magic is in the network attached part of NAS. The fact that I can access this thing from anywhere in the world, as long as there's an internet connection, is absolute gold. I'll give you an example. In a couple of weeks, I'll be traveling to Las Vegas to attend CES. It's the biggest tech fair in the world. There will be all the latest tech, and I obviously will be shooting a lot of content for you guys. Now, to have access to my entire video library back at the studio at home from my hotel room across the world is incredibly useful. Plus, I can give my editor access to the NAS as well, so there's no need to send huge video files back and forth between him and I. He can just grab whatever he needs straight from the NAS. And it's fast too, much faster than your typical cloud service. Not to mention that storing my entire video library in the cloud would cost me an absolute fortune. And that brings me to one of the biggest advantages of using a NAS. Yes, there is an initial investment. You'll have to buy one of these units, and you'll have to buy the storage according to your needs. But after that, you're all set. With cloud storage, you'll have to pay every single month, and the higher the storage, the higher your monthly costs. And if you stop paying, you lose access to all of your things because you don't own it. That to me is a terrifying thought, so to have it all on my own little server and not worry about any monthly cost is great. What I would recommend though is to set up a RAID configuration for this 2-bay NAS that would be a RAID 1. And what that essentially does is it keeps 2 copies of everything, 1 copy on this drive and 1 copy on that drive. Now, if one of the drives fails, it will still be on the other drive, so you can simply remove the failed drive, go out, get a new one, replace it, and then the one that stayed behind will copy everything back over to the new drive. That way you'll always be safe. You could choose not to do that and use your NAS as a simple storage device. That would double your storage space, but of course that would mean you would lose the redundancy. That is of course entirely up to you. Now, if the data you're storing is super important, you could of course keep a backup in the cloud as well. And that might sound a bit contradictory to what I've just been saying about not having to pay monthly fees, but in this particular scenario, your NAS becomes your main storage hub and the cloud will be your safety net. Storage experts will always tell you to keep your important files in 3 places at least, maybe 1 on device, 1 on the NAS, and 1 in a cloud backup. In other words, you'd keep a copy on site and a copy off site. Say in the worst case scenario, your NAS gets destroyed in a fire. You'd still have your cloud backup. Anyway, I would argue that this would be very useful if you have very, very important files, but if you just want a cost-effective place to store all of your files that is 100% controlled by you and not reliant on any third parties, a NAS is where it's at. And the DH2300 is a perfect entry-level system. Now, as a comparison, let's quickly compare it to its bigger brother, the DH4300. It does all the good stuff its little brother does, but it has a few extra features. The most obvious one, of course, being the fact that it has 4 bays, and that means it has double the storage. You can boost this thing all the way up to 120 terabytes of storage. To give you an idea, that's 41 million photos or 80,000 movies. And Ugreen offers a very wide compatibility with third-party HDDs, so you can decide which storage brand you want to use and stick it in there. With the Cloud Drive tool, you can easily connect to Google Drive for quick file uploads and downloads. This is very helpful for data migration or if you want to use it as a safety net like we talked about earlier. Data transfer speeds will be even faster with the DH4300 Plus, and it can be used as a very powerful video center as well, which supports online subtitle playback, search, and download. Ugreen has its own app store within the NAS interface, so you can expand how you use this thing in so many ways, but that would be for a whole different video. For now, what I would say is that if you're tired of forking over stupid amounts of money to Apple to upgrade your internal storage every single time you buy a device, do yourself a favor, invest in one of these NAS drives. This is a one-off investment, and you can hook up all of your Apple devices to it to use it as a central hub. I've been using a NAS system for a couple of years now, couldn't be happier. And if you do want to dip your toes in the NAS waters, these are the perfect entry-level and user-friendly options. If you want to check them out for yourself, there will, as always, be links in the description, and if you're quick about it, you can still snag that 15% discount. Guys, I hope the video was useful to you. If it was, please give one of these. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one.